Well, what's up, motherfuckers? Welcome back to the Shanghai Pete broadcast, better known as Degreelessness, the warm center of the universe where hope goes to die. I, of course, am your host, Shanghai Pete, trusted member of the media, high-tech, low-life, 21st century digital boy, and of course, the people's champion. Now, much to my immeasurable joy, some of you may have noticed that last week, we managed to infuriate a good number of corpo bootlickers who rushed to the defense of their glorious master, Disney. That's right, seems they were quite mad after I so unfairly offered an honest critique of Disney's newest pile of slop offered to their pig pen of brainwashed sycophants. Totally awesome. Thanks to them, you can look forward to more content like that from me soon. Enough about that though, tonight we've got a far more pressing and serious matter to attend to. The Chrono Remaster. Oh boy. Time to get deep inside, folks. Because this is a remaster of a classic that I'm sure most of us are familiar with, we're gonna do things just a little differently. We know Chrono Cross is fucking awesome. Some people would call it among the absolute best JRPGs of its era, and I would be one of those people. I love Chrono Trigger, I love Chrono Cross, shit fucking rules.
It all rules, all that shit rules.
I had the soundtrack for Cross burned to a CD that I used to bump on the system in my car back in the day. Me and my girl went to Halloween parties at the time, dressed up as Sergey and Harley. I was fucking into this shit. I love this fucking game. You love this fucking game, and if you don't, well, you probably should. Now, that's not to say there's nothing bad about it or nothing to criticize, far from it. We could do a whole video debating the nuances of the overly convoluted plot, if it may have been better to make a more simplified and direct sequel to Trigger, the art style, its weird leveling system, the pros and cons of the absurdly long list of party members you can recruit, all that stuff. And maybe we will at some point later. Let us know if you think that'd be fun. But today, we're here to review the remaster, so we're gonna stick to that. In the not-so-immortal words of The Rock from one of the innumerable Fast and Furious movies, all of which are fucking awesome by the way, I like my dessert first, so let's talk about the good stuff. And that's probably a weird way to start this, but I hesitate to even put this in the good column, but generally, it runs fine. I've seen some reviews reporting really outlandish shit that they've seen lots of slowdown, especially in the PS4 version, but my 35 or so hours with it on Switch so far seems fine. And it fucking better be, by the way, considering RetroArch runs the PSX version perfectly. Not fantastic, by the way, let's be clear, but fine. Another check in the positive column is the default rendering and graphics options. I know many purists don't like the algorithm-based screen stretch required to change a game that was originally 4:3 into something like 16:9, but I don't care, I need my widescreen. And while we'll be getting to the remastered graphics later on, it looks like anything polygon-based is upscaled no matter which option you choose, and quite well, generally, so you can keep the chunky pixels of the background art and still get sharp polys. Ultimately, this will be down to personal preference, but since mine happens to be chunky pixels and sharp polys, and that's an option the game gives you, I mark it as positive. Seemingly in line with remaster trend these days, this new version of Chrono Cross also includes a few easy mode toggles. Again, I'm sure some purists will be against this kind of stuff, and that's all well and good, understandable, but I don't give a shit. At worst, they're optional and non-intrusive, and at best, they provide some fun convenience features to make getting through what is really a pretty dense RPG a little easier, both for first-timers and lazy people alike. Super sick. We've got a battle boost option, which as near as I can tell, makes just about every enemy attack miss you. It may also boost your attack slightly, but the most obvious effect is the nigh invulnerability from constant misses. Very nice. Not the kind of thing I would personally be inclined to use, but very nice nonetheless. We've also got an auto battle feature, which is just what it sounds like. Doesn't seem to use heals or elements at all. It's not very smart, but it is reliable enough to let you set the controller down for a bit during particularly tedious trash mob fights. And if even that isn't enough convenience for you, last but not least, we have an option to toggle off all map encounters. This is fucking awesome. I'm not gonna get too deep into the leveling system, but basically because of the way it works, between star battles, your gains stop after a maximum of about 8 to 10 fights. That means that after that, there is no point in grinding trash whatsoever aside from farming mats. So, needless to say, being able to toggle them off whenever you want is awesome, especially if you're in an area like the Isle of the Damned, where the way mobs follow you around can get really obnoxious. We've also got a few slight quality of life improvements like HD Rumble, I guess, being able to set run as the default movement behavior, autosaves, which definitely saved my ass from rage quitting more than once, and of course the crucial speed up option, which makes the occasional monotonous areas of the game a breeze and eases a little bit of the tedium caused by the often overly elaborate battle cam and spell animations. So, Overall, we got an accessible way to play this classic on modern platforms with a decent feature set: auto battle, fast forward and counter toggle, battle boost, multiple aspect ratios, auto saves, and a graphic style toggle. Plus, they were courteous enough to not butcher the absolutely top tier brilliant score by Yasunori Mitsuda. And that's great too. In addition, the mostly text adventure Radical Dreamers, I guess would we call that a visual novel now? I don't know. Previously released only in Japan, that's here too. I'm not gonna slob any knob about this. It's cool, it's fun, I'm glad it's here, but it's not as big a deal as people are making it out to be. I like it, but come on, it's mostly whatever. Besides, most people who really cared about this, you probably played a ROM of it years ago. Now for the bad. Guys, I am sad to say that despite the positives, this remaster, it's basically a pile of fucking garbage. And worse yet, it's predictable garbage in all the ways that you have come to expect from a hack job remaster. Most notably, of course, is the so-called upgraded graphics. Square Enix, as one might expect, has thrown out a bunch of absurd points in defense of this travesty, laughably saying shit like, the developer used a combination of AI upscaling and manual restoration to achieve the effect. Bitch, please. Anyone who's ever used an emulator from this era of gaming, or even earlier in a lot of cases, will immediately recognize the effect being used here. It's sloppy, it's lazy, and worst of all, it's obvious. Better known as Super Eagle to anyone who's spent a bunch of time in SNES emulators, what they're basically doing is smearing the pixels together and slapping an anti-aliasing effect on it. It looks gross as fuck. Like you're seeing it through a greasy glass window, it's horrible. The idea that anyone could even attempt to defend this vulgar shitshow, especially with the suggestion that it's somehow a painstaking labor of love, is embarrassing. It's bad, guys. Very bad.
Y'all smoking crack! Something is wrong with you people! What the hell has this world come to?
And this is the title headline feature, Remaster. You didn't remaster anything. You applied some presumably very basic, judging from the outcome, algorithms to upscale some simple polys and smear the right angles off the background pixels, slapped it into a wrapper to run on the Switch, and called it a day. The absolute pomposity required to call this a fucking remaster is yet another self-report by Square Enix, which practically advertises that they are, in fact, nothing more than the brutal, vulturous, parasitic corpo institution that they appear to be. The only thing good about switching the graphics are the new character portraits, which are, in fairness, very nice looking. But let's say you, like me, make the mistake of foolishly assuming that the remastered graphics will at least be decent, and you toggle them on the setup menu, only to be confronted by the toilet feast reality once it loaded up. Oh fuck bitch, get this the fuck out of here. You mash the menu button, frantically searching for the config menu, you find it, thumb slipping across the D-pad, and you're rushed to prevent this graphical heresy from goring out your eyeballs, but what's this? The option to toggle back to classic graphics, where is it? Womp womp, it's not here bitch. Where is it then? Where do you think it is, class? That's right, it's back in the main setup menu, which you can only get to by quitting the entire fucking game and booting it up again from scratch. Good fucking god. Dev brain truly on 14.5 out of 10 here, boys. How to make a bad mistake worse. Make the only way to correct it time-consuming, obnoxious, and unintuitive. This right here is a great example of perhaps the most disastrous aspect of all this, and how the negatives compound themselves. Some of the graphic enhancements are good, like the upscaled polys, new character portraits, but because of the woefully inadequate and poorly implemented settings functions, you can't simply toggle on the good stuff, toggle off the bad. It's all or nothing. Not only that, but you can't adjust the few toggles that are there without completely quitting out of the entire fucking game. So unless you have a desperate need to experience the new character portraits, there's essentially zero reason to engage with the main function of this entire release, the remaster. Alright, wrap up time. Chrono Cross, the game, gets an easy 9.5. But the remaster itself? Well, first we're gonna have to take one entire point for the performance. Tolerable at best, simply ain't gonna cut it. Then, we're going to take 2 full points from the titular graphics remaster being nothing more than a borrowed freeware emulator feature, and a poorly implemented one at that. Then, another point for the threadbare and tedious nature of the configuration options. And finally, we'll give back half a point because, hey, it's only $20, and ultimately, that's really not that much to pay for one of the greatest PSX-era JRPGs that exist. 6.5, poor. I was actually tempted to give it an even lower score because I feel like this half-hearted offering was mostly just to satiate the base and scrape them for some quick cash, and now its release has effectively just restarted the clock on when, if ever, we get an actual remaster or remake, or fuck, even another entry in the series at all. Dare to dream, right? What a fucking bummer. All right, that's our show. Thank you so much for watching and spending this little bit of your free time with us tonight. We love you today. We love you all the way. This is pretty disappointing, I know. But honestly, it's still pretty cool to have a reason to put some hours into this classic again, no matter what that reason is, I guess. And if you've never played it, it is an awesome game, easily worth 20 bucks on any platform, especially a portable one. Overall, as low effort and slipshod as this remaster admittedly is, when it comes down to it, it's kind of hard to hate on Chrono Cross in any form. Even for me.
Woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out, huh? Woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt, then I'm back down.